Good day, everyone. Today we are going to tackle another lesson in campus journalism, which is Publication Style Guide and its sample. But before we are going to delve in, let us have first our learning objectives for this topic, which is to apply fundamental and technical rules in journalistic writing and technical meaning, convert wordy expressions into brief words, as well as apply copy editing marks, and of course, at the end of this lesson, you are expected to compose your own journalistic style. Alright, and now we have here guidelines and sample in the proper use of titles. First, we have the use of a miss with unmarried woman. When writing about unmarried woman, use miss along with her full name on the first mention. For example, you would write Miss Maria Katigbak. On subsequent mention, use Miss Katigbak or just her last name Katigbak. Some newspapers and publications prefer using Miss for mature women regardless of whether they are married or single as a gender neutral option. The same goes now with men. Use Mr. for mature men. For men, start with Mr. followed by their full name on the first mention, such as Mr. John Cruz. For subsequent mention, refer to them as Mr. Cruz or simply by their last name Cruz. This keeps your writing formal and respectful while maintaining clarity. Another one we have here, avoid lengthy titles before names. To keep titles clear and concise, avoid long phrases before a name. For instance, instead of writing Chief of Police Jeremy Morales, you should write Jeremy Morales, Chief of Police. This approach is less cumbersome and ensures readability. Alright, we also have here capitalized titles preceding names. Titles should always be capitalized when they appear before a person's name. For example, write Superintendent Caballeros. As you can observe in my presentation, the S in the word superintendent is capitalized. However, when the title follows the name, it should not be capitalized, as in P.T. Caballeros, Superintendent of Schools. As you can observe, the S in the word superintendent is not capitalized. Further, we have referencing Catholic priests. When referencing a Catholic priest, use Reverend Father followed by the full name on the first mention, like Reverend Father Reynaldo Cabanillas. For subsequent mentions, you can simplify it to Reverend Cabanillas or Father Cabanillas. This respects both the individual and the formal structure. We also have here identify individuals with descriptive phrases. When introducing someone for the first time, it's important to provide a short descriptive phrase that explains the rule, especially if their position isn't widely known. For example, you might write Arthur Tamalayan, President of the San Lorenzo Homeowners Association. This ensures readers to understand their relevance to the story. Another one, use Mrs. for married women. For married women, use Mrs. before their name, such as Mrs. Ana Reyes. However, if the individual holds a professional title, it may be more appropriate to use that instead, like Judge Ana Reyes. Some married women may also prefer the more neutral title, which is Miss, which respects individual preference. Next, avoid single initials. When writing names with initials, always use both initials or the full first name. For example, write D.Y. Caparas or Democrito Caparas, but never D. Caparas. This ensures clarity and avoid ambiguity. Next one, abbreviate title appropriately. Titles are usually abbreviated when they precede a full name or initials. For example, write Prof. Romulo Buenviaje or Prof. Arte Buenviaje. However, when using only the surname, spell out the title such as Professor Buenviaje. This maintains consistency and professionalism. Another one abbreviates certain titles but not others. The titles Doctor, Mr., and Mrs. are always abbreviated. However, titles like President, Secretary, Governor, and Mayor should always be spelled out. For example, write Mayor Benjamin Cruz, not Mr. Benjamin Cruz. Mayor. This distinction helps maintain formality and clarity. Lastly, use congressman or rep, which is representative, appropriately. When referring to a congressman, spell out the title with just the surname, like Congressman Dorado. However, if using the full name, abbreviate the title to rep, as in Representative Hermes Dorado. This keeps your writing concise while maintaining respect for the position. We are now in the guidelines and sample in the use of spelling. First, avoid unnecessary abbreviations. Use abbreviations sparingly. Stick to the predefined list of standard abbreviations understood by your audience. Make sure this list is accessible to reporters and copy readers to ensure consistency. Another one is spell out the days of the week. Always write out the full names of days, such as Wednesday instead of week. This maintains clarity and professionalism. As well as abbreviate longer month names when paired with date. For exact date, spell out months with fewer than 5 letters, like June 15. But abbreviate longer ones, like November 9. If the month stands alone without a day, always spell it out. January, not Jan. Another one, spell out geographical terms. Write out terms like fort, port, and mount, as in Fort Santiago, port area, or Mount Apo. This respects formal place names. Next, spell out names of provinces and cities. Avoid abbreviations for place names. Write out full names like Cebu City or Ormoc City. This ensures clarity for your readers. Next, use full Christian names. So write out full names like Juan Carlos or Roman. Avoid using abbreviations for names, as it can appear informal or unclear. Next, spell out street and avenue. When writing addresses, spell out terms like street and avenue, as in Rizal Avenue or 9th Street. This looks more polished and professional. As well as avoid British spellings. Use American spellings conventions. For example, write honor instead of honor and organized instead of organized. This aligns with widely accepted standards. Furthermore, simpler spelling is better. Some publications prefer simpler spellings, like employee instead of employee or cigarette instead of cigarette. Just look at the presentation so that you will be guided as I explain, since we are talking about spelling here. So much for that. Use simpler spelling if your publication follows this style. Remember, simplicity is the key. Next, use hyphens selectively. Drop hyphens in words like clean up, get away, and kick off when they're in nominative form. However, keep them in expressions like cast off, cave in, and head on, when necessary for clarity. Lastly, when in doubt, consult the dictionary. If you're unsure about a word's spelling, always check a reliable dictionary to avoid mistakes. And that concludes my discussion. Thank you for listening attentively, and I hope that you have learned something from our discussion today. Once again, this is Grace B. Salazar.